Dear beloved Creator of all that is, we thank you for bringing us together for this opportunity to connect and share with the people the important work we can and must all do to reclaim our rightful place in your divine dominion. And we continue to ask for your protection from any and all hostile or harmful energies so that we may reclaim our unalienable rights bestowed by you. Let it be so, and so it is.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This evening, we're marking 4 years, June. We started this with 6 of us 4 years ago. Now we're several hundred. And we're still doing it one step at a time. We knew where we were going when we started this 4 years ago. We're going to return Oregon to a constitutional Republican form of government. We didn't know how. We just knew that we were. And along the way, we learned a whole bunch of stuff. And recently, 2 days ago, we filed a piece of paper with the Deputy Secretary of State for the state of Oregon. Can't file with the Secretary of State because she has no honor and she can't hold a position of trust. So we have to go to the Deputy Secretary of State. And what we're looking at is a very similar thing on every other state and territory. We just don't know exactly where to look in the other states. On Oregon, we've got it figured. We know that the fraud happened November 8th, 1910. So if we go back to that date and correct the record and correct the circumstances and remove Article 7 amended from the Constitution where it was placed unlawfully and illegitimately, forming the de facto state of Oregon. When we do that, we return to a de jure form of government, meaning lawful and of the people. And we kind of knew that that was part of it when we started. We had a lot of people that went before us and found out a lot of this information, and it didn't come to fruition during the previous attempts. But this time it is. So every state, and there's 33 of them, has been converted from a constitutional Republican form of government into a de facto incorporated governance. They did it on purpose. The powers that should not be, to quote William, are the ones that have done this. I read a paper on chat on Skype with a bunch of other people, and in 1906, the Illinois State Bar went on a campaign to convert all the states into incorporated governance as suits the bar, the British Accreditation Registry. They're one of our major problems. Not lawyers and not law, but attorneys of the bar. those that are leading the way in oppressing us. And not just here, but all around the world. So far, when we look at what we're doing and we count off the steps that we've made, and we're still doing the steps one at a time and taking our next best step. And we just did that when we notified the Deputy Secretary of State that we were no longer deceived. We actually have it figured out. We know what's going on. And their fraudulent form of governance cannot succeed any longer. It depends on fraud and deceit. And when you're no longer deceived, you no longer can be deceived. And that's the position we find ourselves. We know what's going on, and we're not going to take it anymore. It's not a secret. It's not we just think something's wrong. We know exactly what's wrong, and we're going to change it this year. So, one of the keys, and it may not be the key, there's possibly no single key, and there's probably many ways to get to where we are. And all of the other states and territories have to get to the same place we are. And we all have to meet in Congress assembled and put this right. And each state has to do it for themselves. Nobody can do it for them, and you can't do it by yourself. So, in our move towards a constitutional Republican form of government, we take the next best step lawfully, and that's to convert those people that are required to take an oath to take the proper oath and not the false oath, and uphold the Constitution as it's supposed to be instead of as the fraud dictated. Now, all of these people, no, I shouldn't say all, most of these people that are in elected office know. Several years ago, we were trying to move this forward and having a really hard time. I ran into a guy named John Koch. He was a commander running the Beaverton office of the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And I was in an argument with him, and I told him that we knew and we were correcting it. This was not going to continue. And he said, "What are you going to do about it?" And he said it in a smart way, such as, "You'll never get there. It's too big. You can't cause it to fail. We'll continue doing color law on you people, and you'll just take it." That was his attitude. I can't say that that's how he felt, but that's the attitude I got. Well, I notified him in writing today. We're taking it back. And we're doing it lawfully. And we're trying, no, trying's a bad word. We are providing any other assembly or even of society if they think they can do it with the society. I don't think you can. I think words have meaning. And I think that every other state has to come together in a Congress assembled, and we all have to get there lawfully, and all of the states have to bring forth all of the territories lawfully, and we have to convert the United States from an incorporated governance of Washington, no, of Lincoln's era. Lincoln's not who you thought he was. None of them were. But we have to bring that forth, and we have to do it with every state. It took us 3 years to get where we knew where we were and what we were doing, we thought. And then another year past that, till we're at the point now of bringing Oregon into lawful instead of legal and illegitimate de facto, bringing it into de jure, and it'll happen. And the reason it'll happen is once we are no longer deceived, then the powers that should not be cannot act in color of law. They're required or suffer treason. And that's the position that they're in right now. They either self-correct, and that's what we're giving them the opportunity to do, the certain few that have not been convicted. It's amazing how much we know and how much we don't know, and how much the general public is ignorant on what's really going on. But it's okay. We don't need everybody to know all at once. They can learn. And what we're going to do is return Oregon to a constitutional Republican form of government by not permitting those that are required to have an oath to take a false oath. We're not deceived. You can no longer take a false oath. If you try to take a false oath, or if you move towards that, you're moving into treason, and it's obvious. Even those in really evil positions, like Kate Brown, Ron Wyden, Suzanne Bonamici, Jeff Merkley, even persons like that are limited by how much they can get away with. And when you look around, and we do, and you see people becoming aware, not the same way we became aware, because we're doing Oregon and they're doing what they need to do for their state, but they're becoming aware. And as you become aware, you can no longer be deceived. And their whole law form requires deceit. There's a guy, Russell-J. Gould, and the other guy was David Wayne-Miller or something like that. They seem to think that there's a special way of speaking and using language so that the adverbs and the verbs are used properly and you don't have a dangling participle. And all of that's still based on deceit. We speak American English, Western dialect, and it's pretty much the same. I was on the phone today with a fella in Pennsylvania. Hello, Tom. And that's the seat of where our country started. And they're doing their best to bring Pennsylvania into the same area where we are. And we're all doing this at the same time that they're trying to kill us. And they're doing a really good job of it. The Georgia Guidestones are real. And the people such as Bill Gates and Fauci and Turner and all the rest of them are actually evil. And their objective is to have a one world order, a one world government, a special group of 13 supposed families that are going to be running their government, but it's falling apart on them so fast that they can't keep the charade up. And if they can't keep the charade up, it's just like the Wizard of Oz. After you look behind the curtain and you see what's going on, then you're no longer deceived. You can't pull that trick on us anymore. So I'd really appreciate it if everybody that sees this takes a few minutes and goes to www.orsja.org, Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, orsja.org, and find out what we've got published there and figure out how to get a hold of us so that we can help you get your county in order. You have to get your sheriffs in order, and you have to do the grassroots work. There's just no way around it. We need 36 grand juries, and we need 36 civilian courts of record. And we need to return to de jure law, law of the people, not color of law de facto. If you don't have a copy of your Oregon Constitution, it won't be legitimate, but it'll be a place to start. And you need a copy of the Declaration of Independence. And you need a copy of the United States of America's Constitution. And you need a copy of the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. Those are our founding documents. We were on a call a couple of days ago, and a fellow brought up a point that we make every day, that there's no higher jurisdiction or order for a man or a woman than to be a man or a woman with unalienable rights granted by God. There is no higher jurisdiction. A U.S. citizen doesn't make it. A state national doesn't make it. A state citizen doesn't make it. A registered foreign agent doesn't make it. Only men and women make it. XX and XY and our kids. That's it. There is no other. And we have to, little by little, bring it to the knowledge of those that need to understand, and not everybody needs to understand. We have to bring it to everybody's attention that wants to understand, that has a desire to be free, that wants to comprehend what their responsibilities are to themselves and their families and their country. And all of that has to come about through us, just folks, men and women, with their kids. And we've got to do this job ourselves. Nobody can do it for us, and we can't do it by ourselves. So when we look at what we're doing and what we've been doing for 4 years, and we invite all the other states' jural assemblies to do their state, and if your state is still a territory, do your territory. We'll make it a state. All of this can be undone. All of the fraud and the deceit will be fixed. All of the unlawful, illegal persons that think they're in charge, they'll be gone. 90 Oregon legislatures had the opportunity to self-correct. One did, Mike Neerman. All the rest didn't. And they're all guilty. And their guilt was determined by an Amendment 7 jury. Men and women on the plaza in Salem across from the State House listened to the evidence and made the decision. And the verdict is in. It's done. There is no appeal. All of these men and women in the legislature that think they get to run again are wrong. They get to try treason should they persist in their illegal pursuits. All of the judges that run usually unopposed are wrong. They're treating color of law as law and subjecting us to their fraud. And they don't get to do it anymore. That's part of what we notified Cheryl Myers, the Deputy Secretary of State of. And that document is available on our website, orsja.org. I'm trying to think what else I need to bring to you folks at this time, and I just don't have any more to offer. We have to do it. You have to do it. Nobody can do it for you. If you choose not to do it, then it doesn't get done. But we don't need all of you to do it. Not all of you are prepared to be free men and women and responsible for yourselves and for your children. A lot of you want to be taken care of, cradle to the grave. You want to have a free lunch that you pay for with your life. And it is a life or death situation. I don't know. Maybe you do. But they're trying to kill us with the vaccination. And they're trying to kill us in many, many different ways. The Georgia Guidestones are real. They're actually doing it. It's not a mistake or an accident that a mother has a vision and her child has a vision and the child's dead in a few hours. That's planned. It's not a mistake that they took the oath to Article 7 amended. They did it on purpose. They've been doing it on purpose for 112 years. If we don't stop them, it doesn't get stopped. They're evil. And that's it. I yield. Thank you, William.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I fought. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.